Greetings, brothers. Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel. Greetings, brothers. How is everybody tonight? Hope you're all well. I'm doing okay. Let me turn off this countdown. There we go. Good evening, good evening. Mark, Wizard, Highland, 2 Scoops, Jacob, George, quite a lot of people here tonight. Alex, Sybil, Daniel, Adrian, Lorenzo. Wow. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's well this Sunday evening. I have less hair. No, I've got really bad sunburn. So I'm sitting in the dark. Let me put the light on. You can see how red I am. Doesn't look as red. Trust me, it's bad. It feels sore. I feel like I'm a baked potato. Blood. Yeah, pretty much. I've been struggling to see all day because I've been putting on so much sun. Been putting up so much sun cream on my. It's all been running into my eyes. My eyes have just been like full of sun cream the whole day, or whatever it's called, after sun. It looks more red with the light off. Yeah, it does look more red. I don't know why. I guess this is a. It still looks pretty red. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Let me show you. It looks worse with the light off. Yeah, I'll give you that. Really fucking bad. Alright, we'll have the light on. Cool. Alright, so no sunburn at all. Hope everybody's enjoying summer. I am. I didn't even think I was out for that long yesterday in the sun, but apparently. Cool. Good evening. I'm actually going to play my first game of Chapter Approved Nephilim this week. I'm lagging behind. What with getting COVID last week or whatnot, I haven't played Nephilim yet. So my first game of Nephilim is going to be on Wednesday night. And this week I have actually been off work, and I spent some time painting up a little Sangre Guard here. So I've been working on a battle ready painting Sangre Guard video. This guy's finished, so that'll be coming in a little while. Cool. All right. Have the light off if it's more comfortable. It doesn't really bother me, the light, I guess. But maybe it is a bit more comfortable tonight. Okay. Cool. Right, so, last few weeks on the list show, what we've been doing is we've been running through a bunch of different lists, right? Rather than score each list individually, we've just been running through lists from everybody that submitted them, and I guess I've got like 6 lists tonight and a 1,000-point list in here as well. So we're going to continue to do the same for a few more weeks until I actually play some Nephilim games and feel like I know what I'm talking about. So for the moment, we're just going to be looking at people's lists. We're going to be giving 2 cents, and I guess we're just not scoring lists yet. I think I need to overhaul the scoring at some point. We're not there, okay? So let's start with 2 Scoops. We've got a couple of members lists. Let's start with them first. Okay, so member of, and we just hit 10,400 subscribers right before the stream as well. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you for the people that have been subscribing over on our Grot's channel as well. We just passed 700 subscribers over there. So that's awesome as well. If you want to catch up with like weekly podcasts with me, Tony, and Mark, you can do that too. Okay, 2 scoops. He hasn't submitted a list in a while. Alright, so 3 CP, 1997 points. Dante, and he has taken Heroic Bearing as his Warlord trait. So +1 CP, and then I guess -1 CP for doing that. We got Astaroth, who has Mantra of Strength and Canticle of Hate. It's kind of typical picks for Astaroth, possibly even more typical now with the changes to the charge phase, where you can essentially get like an 8-inch charge now from Deep Strike. So with +1 from Blood Angels, it becomes a 7-inch charge from Deep Strike. With Canticle of Hate, it could become a 6-inch charge from Deep Strike. So 6-inch charge from Deep Strike with rerolls. I actually haven't done the math on that yet. I wonder if I can. So if you need a 6 on 2 dice with the reroll, it's 72%. So it'll be 28 times 0.72 plus 70. So it's 92% chance to make a charge if you've got Canticle of Hate now and a reroll. So that's pretty interesting. Big change to that, I guess. We then got the Sanguinary Priest, who is running Rites of War and Teeth of Terra. So before, we felt like Teeth of Terra was a good pick for Sanguinary Priest. In the new meta, with a real lack of CP, do we feel like we want the Sanguinary Priest to be a combat character? I mean, I guess it's not bad. It gives him like 8 attacks if he's into turn 3. They are all 2 damage. He does have weapon skill 2. I mean, it's not bad, I guess, right? I just think with Rites of War, he's going to be a bit more sacrifice. Like, you typically when you're running Rites of War on a character, at some point during the game, you're going to jump onto objective with Rites of War, so the opponent doesn't have it at the start of their turn, and you kind of are sacrificing your character. Sometimes not, but in some games, yes. Sometimes throwing away the 120-point character to obsec the objective away from the enemies and get 4 victory points can be the win or the loss. So I'm not sure I love Teeth of Terra on the Sanguinary Priest, but I mean, I understand why you would pick it, right? Just personal preference. 2 squads of Incursors and squad of Intercessor with the Autobolt rifles. I mean, Autobolt rifle Intercessors are fine, but Incursors are a lot better. I think, personally, Assault Intercessors with a Power Sword would be more my jam, I guess. I don't think Autobolt rifles really kill that much, if anything. And yeah, I just think Assault Intercessors more attacks and gets Power Sword or something on the Sergeant. If 100 points is what you got to play with, a Power Sword fits for 100 points for Assault Intercessors. Death Company Marines with 3 hammers, 2 Power Swords. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. How we thought Power Swords into Death Company was actually quite good. Is 3 hammers and 2 Power Swords better than 4 hammers and 1 chain sword? For 5 points less. I mean, I think it's not bad. I personally like the 4 hammers, but I think 3 hammers and 2 Power Swords is pretty good. Good evening, Trevor. Rectosis, sorry, I'm not sure how you say your name. Is Dante now a must pick because of the CP refund? I mean, Dante is I don't know if he's a must pick, because he's obviously pretty good with his CP refund and the fact you can do an epic deed for free. So essentially you kind of get 2 CP from picking Dante, but I mean, if you wanted to run a Chapter Master with Master of the Codex, Master of the Codex averages 2.5 CP over the course of a game, so if Dante is going to essentially give you 2 CP over the course of a game, Chapter Master with Master of the Codex is going to give you 1.5. So I don't know if he's a must pick, but I mean, he's pretty good, right? John says, I ran 3 hammers and 2 swords and 2 Infernal Death Company. Did good. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to mix in a good few Infernal Pistols as well, this can be fine. But yeah, I mean, somewhere in the region of 3 or 4 hammers and a couple of other weapons is a good Death Company. Relic Terminators with Lightning Claws. Lightning Claws have gone down in value a lot because of the AP change into Armor of Contempt. Combi Bolters are fine enough, and Relic Terminators, for the points you pay for the squad, are just 170 points. I think that's actually really good. I think Terminators, I mean, these are the cheapest Terminators you can bring. I think they're 33, 34 points per model. I think it would be 34. And at 34 points a model, a 3 wound, 2 up save, 5 up invulnerable, Terminator that can do a bunch of damage. I think they're very decent for the points. I get some Relic Terminators. I don't have any, but I might get some in the future. I've been thinking about them for a while actually. I think they're good. If you're looking for a cheap, durable unit, Relic Terminators are definitely up there. We then have 7-man Sanguine Guard, another 7-man Sanguine Guard, and then what's this, like 3, 6, 7-man Vanguard Veteran with 3 Thunderhammers and Quake Bolts, and 4 Lightning Claws. I mean, this is not a bad squad. I've run squads like this more recently. They've definitely taken a hit into Armor of Contempt enemies. Like, if you... In turn 1 and 2, if you're not in Assault Doctrine, these guys are only on -1 into Armor Contempt units, which is pretty crap, to be honest. So if you are fighting like other chapters of Marines or Sisters or something, you just have to be aware that these guys are going to need... They're just not going to do as much damage as you maybe wish they were going to do previously. You run the Priest to get the Death Company into Assault Doctrine typically, which means you kind of have to sit with the Vanguard Veterans for a little while. I think also might be worth mentioning that I think if I'm... So I just bought recently more Sanguinary Guard. And I just actually slapped paint on 6 of them this week. I think if you have the swords, I would go like 70-30 in swords. So on a 7-man squad of Sanguinary Guard, I would do 5 swords at the moment, 2 axes. I think you want the extra AP from the swords. And yeah, I mean, axes were better for a while, but I think swords are just much better now. And then you've got Plasma Inceptors, 5-man squad. Okay, so... Alright, he's written me a paragraph of text. Let me catch up on chat. If you Forlorn Fury Chapter Master rerolls help a lot from Dante. I mean, they do. Chapter Master rerolls on a Forlorn Fury Death Company is huge. I think Dante is probably the most popular. Not sure we have an auto-take in our army. Yeah, I don't know if there is any auto-takes for... I mean, Sanguinary Guard would be your auto-take for Blood Angels now. People tend to gravitate towards what looks like has improved, and given the rule changes, Dante's stock has certainly risen. Axes get better into NIDs. Yeah, I mean, you say that, but if you run into like Leviathan NIDs and you're only wounding them on 4s, regardless if your swords or axes, then swords are going to be better, Gareth, because swords are going to have more AP, right? So typically, I just think swords are in a better position right now. They're going to be more versatile. And 6 months ago, I was firmly on the axes. I made a bunch of guys with axes, and now I'm making a bunch of guys with swords, and this time around I magnetized them because I'm not doing that again. Okay, so reserves and secondaries are matchup dependent. Usually reserve Terminators and Inceptors unless I have a good reason to field them right away. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. That's why I would say if you had Assault Intercessors, you could reserve them as well. Maybe it depends on the CP. This list is somewhat based on standard Blood Angels melee lists. I've made changes on my personal preference, so hopefully it doesn't feel too much like the same old boring list. Here are my notes. The one thing I don't like are Plasma Inceptors. But again, that's personal preference. The chance of rolling a double 1 on Plasma Inceptors, if you have 5 of them, is pretty fucking high, actually. Because you get 30 shots, and the chance of rolling 1 and then re-rolling into 1 and killing one of your own models is like 1/36. So personally, I'm not a fan of Plasma Inceptors because I feel like it's too risky to shoot them on high power. But I mean, each to their own, I guess. Dante Heroic Bearing is normally a weak choice. I took it so I can keep Dante where I want him in turn 2 and have more space for deployment, overcharging with the Scepters. I mean, yeah, I guess that's the only reason to to take Heroic Bearing on Dante is to give you a bigger bubble of rerolls. I'm not a fan of Heroic Bearing as a Warlord trait in general. Sanguinary Priest, early game Assault Doctrine and Feel No Pain, yeah. He's no need of Chief Apothecary. Yeah, I think Chief Apothecary is kind of overcosted. Terminators and Interceptors could be high value revives, yeah, obviously, and otherwise charging and flipping objective and fight. I'm not sure about the fight part. I don't really see the Sanguinary Priest as a fighting character. I know some people have made him into a fighting character, but if you got Rites of War on him, then he's like a high value pick for your enemy, right? Because they're going to want to pick him off. So unless you're 100% confident you can kill what you charge, then my thought would be play more defensively with this guy. Intercessors with bolters. I plan to keep these near the backfield objective. I don't much else in this list that can do that, and I want a efficient bolter fire in the list to help clear annoying hordes. I mean, yeah, I don't really think 15 shots from Strength 4 no AP bolters is reliable at clearing things. I mean, I don't even think Sanguinary Guard bolters with, -1 to AP are reliable at clearing things, but yeah, intercessors, they're fine. You gotta have something that holds the backfield, so if this is what those guys are doing, then fine. Relic Terminators give you more bolter fire. They're tough and efficient bodies that can help anywhere on the board. Lightning Claws are worse. Yeah, we know that, but they still have great synergy. Terminators are often fighting in Assault Doctrine. That's very true. And you got Quake Bolts on the list, so you could buff the Terminators if you wanted. The Vanguard Veterans are worse than the Death Company and Sanguinary Guard. I think they are now. Yes, I think based on the points cost, the Vanguard Veterans are worse. But they complement our better melee choices quite well. I keep them with the Priest turn 1, so they're ready for aggressive turn 2. In turn 2, into anything that's Armor of Contempt, they're going to be very weak. Storm Shields on a couple of them helped, I guess, and the Feel No Pain. They're versatile damage dealers. Some of their weapons don't care about -1 damage. They're a good backup for Sanguinary Guard. I mean, they're fine. I just think that... And 6 months ago, again, I would be running this. Like 2 Sanguinary Guard and the Vanguard Veterans, and I'd probably be running the same sort of squad, where it's like 7 of them with like 3 hammers, and maybe like in my squad I would be running like 2 or 3 with Lightning Claws and maybe like 2 with Chainswords and Storm Shields just to keep them nice and cheap. I just think now you're better off just taking Sanguinary Guard. And again, 5 and 2 on swords. Inceptors, I know I'm not changing anyone's mind on these guys. They're overcosted. I still like them. I think they can help cover the weakness of our melee. They can kill things that are too scary, difficult to charge. They're mobile, tough, and shoot from range, and have great defensive strats, transhuman and unyielding. Always use the weaker plasma profile with AP -4 in turn 2 and burst damage potential within 9 inches of Dante. Yeah, I mean, you make a lot of good points on the Inceptors. My thought is, if you want fire support, I'm tempted to say it might be time to try Redemptor Dreadnoughts again. They've obviously benefited from Armor of Contempt. They don't cost any CP. They're good at shooting and in melee. If you're only going to fire these guys on low power, then I guess that's decent. But if you do run into toughness 8 enemies, then they're not doing any damage, right? I'm curious actually, like if you did have a squad of these guys, right? And it would be it's 2 like if the enemy had a dreadnought, it's 2 shots per gun, right? So you got 5 guys, you've got 4 shots per guy, so you got 20 shots. So you drop them down near Dante, so you hit on 3s, re-rolling 1s, which gives you 70.77% chance to hit. It's an enemy dreadnought, so you only wound on 4s, so they have to take 7.7 saves at -4. Let's say it's a Redemptor dreadnought. So now it gets to ignore 1 AP, so the Redemptor can actually save this on 6s. So times what would that be? 833. So like a 300-man squad can drop down with re-rolling their 1s as well and they only do 6 wounds to a toughness 7 enemy. So like I said, so if it's a toughness 8 enemy, then divide that number by 2 pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Inceptors, if they took a mortal, I've said it so many times, if they took a mortal wound for firing on high power, then I think they'd be okay. The fact that they kill their own guy, they're not good enough to justify the 60-point loss for firing on high power. And bear in mind, if you're shooting a Redemptor Dreadnoughts are -1 damage anyway, so you wouldn't even get that much more damage into them. Yeah, you might not always need to shoot a Dreadnought or something like that, but I guess my point is, we talk about wanting things that are like versatile, that can handle multiple enemies. Well, sometimes the enemy can have something screened, like a big bad, I don't know. Let's say you play against me and I have my falchion, and there's absolutely no way you're charging my falchion, right? Because I'm just gonna have Sangry Guard all around it. My daughter just woke up. I'll be right back. I say a falchion, but maybe even could be a couple of Redemptor Dreadnoughts or something. So there's no way you're getting at those units. So the only thing you've got, you're not going to kill them with Angelus bolters or auto bolt rifles, or bolt pistols. You get no way of doing damage to them at range. And I guess this is why I actually think right now Blood Angels are going to be a bit stronger if we go more. If we bring back some fire support. I know Armor of Contempt really makes us want to just run Sangry Guard and melee units and go hard on it. But like I said, Redemptor's got a lot better. You could easily make this list work with a couple of Redemptors or something like that, and I think that would be stronger than Inceptors. How many Inceptors can 2 Redemptors kill in a turn? They can probably wipe the squad. On average, you get 3.5 shots from each of the big plasmas. So you get 7 shots, hitting on 3s, so about 5 hits, wounding on 3s. So maybe 3. And then would you get a save? What's the plasma on a Redemptor? Is it -3 or -4? It's been a little while since I played Redemptors, but I think I'm probably going to play one soon. Or 2, because I think Redemptors work really well as a duo. Their plasma's -4. Okay, so you could save on a 6. So yeah, the plasma cannons kill a couple of the guys, and then you've got onslaught cannons, you've got storm bolters, you could have rocket pods on there as well. I do think that's just a better option, but I mean, it's up to you. If you like plasma Inceptors, great. 2 times 3 multi-metal attack bikes is 12 metal shots for 360. Yeah, I mean, when you compare it to attack bikes, that's a good point. You could have 5 attack bikes. Or how many eradicators would you get for 300 points? About 6 eradicators. Yeah, I just think multi-melt is a lot. Yeah, I mean the plasmas can chew through chaff units, I guess. But we can kind of, I mean, your list has 28 bolter shots here, plus another 20 bolter shots here, plus another 2 bolt pistols here. So what's that give us? 50 bolt 51, 66. So potentially this list can have if these guys get to rapid fire, it would be even more. It would be 76 bolt shots you've got out of this list, right? And maybe more if some of them can rapid fire or whatnot. So you've got chip damage. You've got chip damage against crap enemies. So I don't personally. I mean, I own Inceptors, both bolters and plasmas. I'm not excited about them at the moment. I actually really need an excuse to finish my plasma Inceptors because I stuck Sanguinary Guard wings on them to try and make them look really Blood Angels and themed. But yeah. They drop into cover and have transhuman. I don't know if transhuman is all that valuable when you already have T5, you know that? Quite often with, like, I used to play 5-man squads of Blade Guard veterans, the amount of times that I would transhuman them and still lose the entire squad. Oops, I just poured water over myself. So I'm not a huge fan of transhuman, actually. In terms of, like, if most people want to kill a unit, will transhuman help them? I mean, it'll make them have to put more firepower into them, but yeah. Okay, well, I mean, my opinion of this list is I don't like the Inceptors. I would probably think about swapping the Vanguard veterans for a third squad of Sanguinary Guard. I'm okay with your Assault Intercessors. I have a little question mark over the Teeth of Terra. And if you did swap out the Inceptors, then I would consider losing Heroic Bearing on Dante, because I think it's only... I suppose it depends on where Dante is. Maybe you can get some value out of 9-inch Aura. It is a big bubble, I guess. Some people like it. You get 10 Melta Shots of Eradicators for 190 points if you don't advance them. Oh, right, yeah, because you give one of them a multi-Melta. Yeah, I mean, that's... like 10 Melta Shots from the Eradicators, and you could fit in like a squad of Las Fusils, and you would have 30 points left over. Yeah, for me, that just feels stronger than Inceptors right now. Okay. Next list. Foz. Okay. I don't know if we've seen Foz in the chat tonight, but okay. Hello, Bleeze. I hope you and family are getting over COVID. Yeah, I mean, I'm over COVID. I was up the Kieran Gorms yesterday, the second highest mountain in Scotland, I think, or maybe it's the third highest. Don't know. Don't quote me on that, but yeah. That's why I got sunburnt. Okay, so he's just starting on 1 CP, 2,000 points. Interesting. So we've got an old school chapter master who's got an Infernal Pistol, and a Relic Blade, and Rites of War, and Visage of Death. Alright, so he's running like Sam Procopio's chapter master. He's also got Primaris Chaplain on a bike with Adamantium Mantle and Armor Indomitus. Okay, so he's got like he's gone pretty deep on the CP at the beginning of the game, and then he's got the Sanguinary Priest, who is the Chief Apothecary, and the Selfless Healer. Okay, wow, so really going to spend 5 CP on our characters right at the beginning of the game. That's pretty crazy. How is the weather? The weather today has been brilliant, Chris, but I couldn't go out in it because I'm sunburnt as all hell from yesterday. Which is a little bit annoying, but it's my own fault. I took sun cream with me, put it in the car, and then forgot about it. I find it amusing that you recommend dropping fire support that plasma receptors are in favor of more Sanguinary Guard. Yeah, I mean, if they change plasma receptors, Mark, so that they don't kill their own model and they just do a mortal wound, I'd be much more okay with people taking them. Much more okay with people taking them. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm too scared to fire plasma on high power. I literally never fire on high power, which to me, because it kills your own model, to me it makes it useless. Because it just feels like you're just running it with the weaker weapon profile. Alright, we've got Infiltrators and Incursors ×2, so a little bit more defensive with one of the troop choices. Death Company with hammers and infernal pistols. Second Death Company with hammers and just some chain swords. The Ironclad Dreadnought with the heavy flamer, a couple of hunter killers, Hurricane Bolter, and the Ironclad Assault Launcher. I think, if I remember correctly, the Ironclad Assault Launcher is wasted points. Let me double check. What does the Assault Launcher do? Gives them the Assault Launcher keyword. Yeah, so you have to pay us 1 CP on top of the 5 extra points. And the enemy either hit you at -1 or they take D3 mortal wounds once you get into combat. They can't fire Overwatch, they can't set to defend. I don't think it's worth it. I think the way that you should run an Ironclad is actually with 2 melee weapons, because you get the 2 melee weapons, you get the Wrecker bonus. Yeah, which is basically you can reroll hits of 1. So you don't need any buffs, you hit on 3s, you're rerolling 1s. So personally, I'd probably lose the Hurricane Bolters and the Ironclad Assault Launcher and put on, like... Well, you don't have to pay any points. You could save 10 points here. Put on... The Chain Fist, to me, seems like the best option. ×2, -4, 2d3, flat 6 to vehicles. So it averages 4 against other people. And 6 into vehicles. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the Hurricane Bolter and the Ironclad Assault Launcher. I guess maybe there's a reason for them. I guess it prevents Overwatch on a specific enemy unit, but it doesn't prevent Overwatch, because the unit can just choose to brace, take D3 mortal wounds, which is average 2, and then Overwatch you anyway. So if it was like a big Tau, if it was a unit of Tau battlesuits, they'd take the D3 mortal wounds, they'd lose 1 shield drone, and then they'd Overwatch you anyway, right? So like, I'm not a fan. Okay, Sanguinary Guard with a couple of Infernal Pistols, 4 swords, 3 axes. Again, I would go 5 swords, 3 axes. The second squad is Sanguinary Guard with 2 Power Fists, 3 swords, 2 axes. I don't think the Power Fists are worth it, points-wise, on the Sanguinary Guard, personally. But I guess into some enemies they might be slightly worth it. You know, if you went into Leviathan Tyranids, you can only wound them on 4s anyway. So you've paid 5 points for a weapon to make it wound easier, and it's going to be no easier. I mean, I guess there might be some edge cases where it's better, but I typically think Sanguinary Guard, I think swords are the most efficient for the points. They're the same -3, and typically you'll wound on 3s or 4s. The Assault Launchers have nothing to do with the Hurricane Bolters. The Assault Launchers just 5 points. Yeah, I was saying you would just drop the Hurricane Bolters because you'd be better off running dual melee, Christian. I tried a Vanguard detachment to bring my bites back in with attack bikes, but starting with 1 CP sucks. Yeah, the new CP rules are going to be pretty difficult. I don't think I'd play a list that starts with 1 CP personally. I think I'm probably aiming... I think the bare minimum I'd be looking at is 2, but I'm probably going to be aiming to get 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sunburnt today. But that's from yesterday. So, a couple of Thunder Hammers with Storm Shields, a couple of Lightning Claws with Storm Shields, and a Relic Blade with a Storm Shield. I mean, the Vanguard Veterans are fine. They're a lot weaker into Armor of Contempt enemies. But against regular other enemies, they're fine. This is just something to be aware of about. We got Landspeeder with the Multi-Melta, and then we got Eliminators with Las Fusils and the Instigator Bolt Carbine. So, fire support in this list is super low. 2 Death Company, 2 Sanguinary Guard, the Van Vets and the Ironclad, the Landspeeder, the Eliminators, and then 5 CP into the characters. And then Incursors and Infiltrators. I mean, if you've got Las Fusil Eliminators to potentially hold some backfield objective. I'm not sure you need infiltrators as well. You could probably get away with 3 squads of incursors, but I guess infiltrators are a really defensive, strong pick. 2 Death Company each with 3 hammers seems like a good option. It could make it difficult for your opponent to deploy. The Ironclad, I would change the weapon options on it because I think the assault launchers and the Hurricane Bolter isn't worth it. I mean, if you need points elsewhere, I'd probably drop the Hunter Killer missiles, but I guess the Hunter Killer missiles, fire and forget sort of thing, might be okay. The Sanguinary Guard with a couple of Power Fists, I'd probably lose those. The Vanguard Veterans, it's an okay squad. It's an expensive squad now. I mean, it's because it's so expensive with the Storm Shields, and I think that, like, Sanguinary Guard need to be hit with -4 weaponry to have worse than a 4-up save, right? And if you're in cover, -4 weaponry will still be a 4-up save. So, that's why I'm thinking 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard are good. Oh well, Jimmy, you joined the club of being stupid in the sun because I climbed I think it's the third highest mountain in Scotland yesterday, and it wasn't that sunny, but I guess the sun. You gotta remember that sun UV rays penetrate clouds, so with 2 squads of eliminators, I think you only need 1 to have move, shoot, move. I agree with that, Stephen. I'd just be really trying to be smart with where you put them. Running Ironclads, Chain Fist, Dual Heavy Flamer, Assault Launchers, 2 Hunter Killers. I don't think you need the Assault Launchers. I don't think you're going to spend the CP. 1 CP to do like 2 mortal wounds, just it seems lackluster. So yeah, based on this, like looking at this right now, I mean, I don't dislike anything in this list. I think I dislike his starting CP. I feel like you can't be spending 5 CP on the game. I think we maybe need to accept that, like, if you want a Primaris Chaplain on a bike to be tanky, maybe he just needs Armor Indomitus now. It's probably the more valuable of the 2 if you compare Armor Indomitus to Adamantium Mantle, getting that 3-up invulnerable save for a single turn. Primaris Chaplain on the bike, I think, has 7 wounds, so with Armor Indomitus, he has 8 wounds. 8 wounds, 2-up save, ignoring AP1, once per game going on a 3-up invuln. I think maybe you just have to lose the Adamantium Mantle, and I think you've got to lose something up here, or you could lose Visitor of Death off the Chapter Master and just have Rites of War. Sometimes Rites of War alone is enough. You know, Rites of War with Sanguinary Guard, that can be enough, right? Yeah, the 3-up invuln comes from Armor Indomitus, George. Once per game you can activate that, and you choose to activate Armor Indomitus when you make the saves, right? So like you can wait for them to do all their damage and then be like, right now I'm going to activate Armor Indomitus or I'm not. It's a little annoying how little CP you got before the game, but I do feel like that's maybe going to be a step too much. Starting with 1 CP seems mental. I'm going to try and start a game, I think, this week with 3 CP, and I'll let you know how I feel. Why buy an invuln when you already have one? Because it's a 3-up invuln. And I guess if you're going to angel sacrifice your character, which is typically why you would have... It's typically why you run the Primaris Chaplain on the bike, right? He's toughness 5, he's 8 wounds. You're going to angel sacrifice him to protect another unit. When you angel sacrifice him, he's going to have to take all the attacks. For example, you're fighting Mortarion. Mortarion gets about 7 attacks. It's been a little while since I fought Mortarion, but I'm like... Mortarion has 7 attacks. His melee is D3 plus 3, so basically minimum 4, but average 5. He's going to hit on 2s. He's going to wound you on 2s because you're -1 toughness, right? Because of his contagion stuff. So he's hitting on 7 attacks, hitting on 2s. He's wounding on 2s. You need you don't want your character to die. Each failed save is a 4-up is potentially 5 damage. You only need to fail 2 and you're dead. So he's probably gonna have you 6 saves. So on a 4-up you're dead. On a 3-up you've got a chance. Remember, you could CP reroll one of them as well. So if you get, so that's why you have Armor Indomitus, try and like absorb an entire turn of enemy firepower or attacks. And then just the second time, like if that combat goes on another round and you Angel Sacrifice the second time, yeah, your character's dead. But what it has meant is all your other people in that combat have been essentially protected for 2 rounds of combat. Rights of War grants offset to the character carrying it. Yes, it does. I'd rather try and save the full damage. Yeah, I think, and remember, Armor Indomitus gives you +1 wound as well. So I think Armor Indomitus is more valuable over Adamantium Mantle, because I've been thinking about this. I think if I was going to run my Chapter Master, or I was going to run a character, I feel like I would have to take Armor Indomitus before I took Adamantium Mantle. The amount of times where I've had to make, like, I've done that against a knight, and I've had to make 6 5-up Feel No Pains, and I've made 0 of them. Whereas, like, you typically don't make 0 3-up saves, right? I think sometimes with a 3-up save, you could have 10 saves coming in and you could pass them all. And whereas, like, with Feel No Pains on a 5-up, I feel like they're much more unreliable. Okay, so this list is fine. We're seeing a lot of the same stuff. Double Death Company, double Sanguinary Guard. The Vanguard veterans haven't been dropped by people yet, but I do think that they're less valuable now. We're seeing a lot of people pick up the Eliminators. I thought Ironclad would be pretty useful actually, but I think it's better if you build it full melee. And then first list, I think in a while, I wasn't sure we'd see too many Sanguinary Priest pickups, Selfless Healers, but here's one. So I haven't run the Sanguinary Priest as a Selfless Healer in the longest time. Do you know what? I think I ran it once. I thought it was okay, I guess. Alright, let's move on. Alex Layton next. Alright, greetings Commander, here's my list for review and consideration. Still playing around a bit with Dante for the extra CP, but shifted things around to keep my current Chapter Master. I'm a bit of a mixed list here, debating putting my Vanguard Veterans down to 5-man again. Also think of shifting things around, so I include a drop pod with Devastators in them, maybe foregoing the Vanguard Veterans altogether, excuse me. But still like them as anti-chaff. And I'll let my Assault Squads and or Vanguard Veterans be my action monkeys, along with the Voidsman. With Landspeeder opening up Relentless Assault Engage behind enemy lines, we'll be testing this list out on Thursday, so we'll let you know how it goes. Okay, interesting. So we've got a patrol detachment here to begin with. So just 3 CP. And what's the total CP in this list? Another list starting at 1 CP. Okay, this is madness. Has anyone in chat actually started a game with 1 CP in the new rules? And if you have, how are you feeling about it? Good evening, Dark. Okay, so we've got a Voidsman at arms, and it's a 5-man Voidsman. I would put it up to a 6-man, just so if you are going to do Nakman data, it's 100% reliable. We've got Lieutenant with a jump pack and plasma pistol. Okay, we don't see lieutenants very often. I think an infernal pistol would be better, but plasma pistol is, I guess. And how did you guys feel starting on 2 CP? Did it feel like you were CP starved, or it felt fine? We've got Librarian with Veil of Time, Might of Heroes, and Psychic Fortress, and he is the chief librarian who's got Psychic Mastery. We've got Infiltrators for the backfield, I assume. We get the Sanguinary Ancient, but we've got no Warlord traits or anything on him, which is a strange choice. Vanguard veterans with a lot of lightning claws, thunderhammers. Assault squads, again, it's a 5-man. Again, I think for actions, you want the 6th member of the squad in there. And then eradicators with 4 guys with melter rifles. We then have a chapter master with Soul Warden and Rites of War and Visage of Death. Hold on, this is too many picks. Oh no, it's not. He's okay. Visage of Death, Rites of War, and Soul Warden. So he spent 3 CP on that character. 1 CP up here. I think he's. This guy costs 3 CP. Okay, let me move on. He's got Selfless Healer in this one as well, though. So that would be 3. That would be 4. That would be 5. But then he's got a second attachment. So this list's actually invalid. He's spent too many CP. He'd be on -1 CP here. Because the detachment with the Warlord would be free. The second attachment would cost 2. He's got 3 upgrades on this Chapter Master. That gives 5. Selfless Healer would give 6. And then Chief Librarian with Psychic Mastery would be 7. Yeah, so this isn't a valid list. Okay, and then an Infiltrator squad, then a 6-man Sanguinary Guard with an Infernal Pistol, good amount of swords, a 7-man squad of Sanguinary Guard with an Infernal Pistol, the Land Speeder with the Multi-Mata, and then the Las Fusel Eliminators with the Move Bolter. What do you really need CP for in turns 1? I mean, I guess you would want Forlorn Fury for sure. Maybe one for Suppression Fire if you're going to do a Whirlwind. You might need to counter-offensive pretty early in the game. That's my thoughts. That's why I'm thinking 2 might be too little. 2 CP lets you have 3 on turn 1 and 4 CP if you go second. It's tight but manageable, says Stephen. That's probably true, yeah. So I think 2 CP is probably the least you can start the game on. This guy, Alex, is starting on -1, so that's not valid. But 2 CP feels comparatively starved, Sir Lewish. Okay, alright. I want to aim for. Yeah, it seems so. So it seems like people are saying 2 are okay, but they would prefer 3. I'm gonna make a list this week, and I think I'm gonna aim for 2 or 3. Anyway, let me think about this list for 2 seconds. He's got 5 characters in this list, which I don't like. I think it's too many characters. I also think that the main reason to run the Sangre Ancient is to run Wrath of Baal. So to run it without Wrath of Baal seems strange. The Assault Marines and the Voidsmen not having that 6th member of the squad kind of makes Nakman data risky, which also I don't like, because I think if you take something like that, you want Nakman data to be 100%, because in a tournament, you'll fail it in a key turn and you'll lose the points, right? I think Eradicators are okay fire support. I think they've got better. With Armor of Contempt, obviously. Eliminators and the Land Speeder are decent as well. You could probably get. I don't know if you need 2 squads of Infiltrators. You could probably get away with 1 squad of Infiltrators and 1 squad of Incursors. I think Incursors are the better units. Dante lets you spend 5 CP and still start with 2, says Steven. Yeah, I mean, I guess the last 2 lists we've looked at haven't included Dante. And I'm 50-50 on if I'm including Dante in my list. I tend to dislike Dante because he only has a 2 damage weapon, which can be negated pretty heavily by -1 damage enemies, and also I really dislike how survivable he is, and that I don't think he's survivable. So, but I guess the CP can come back to help, I guess. Okay. So 5 characters. I think you have to drop probably 2 of them. I think 4 characters is probably too much in the current meta. I mean, 4 characters gives away 13 points for Assassinate. It's a lot to give up. I typically say don't spend more than 400 points on characters as well. And what we got here, like 315, 425. So it's basically like 640 points on characters. It's way too much. It's like 250 points too much. So yeah, I think you probably have to drop 2 of the characters. I'm not sure what Psychic Fortress is really providing here either. Typically, people would take the Librarian for Null Zone, and I mean, Sanguine Guard aren't really going to benefit from Psychic Fortress. They need to be hit with like -5 to be worse than. If you hit them with -5, it would become -4. They're on a 2-up save. So yeah, I mean, there's not that much -5 shit flying around. Your Eradicator should be in cover, so they'd be on a 2-up save. So you'd be needing to hit them with -4 so I'm not really sure what you're getting from Psychic Fortress. And I mean, maybe you can Mighty Heroes a character or something like that. Do you have to tell your opponent that you use Forlorn Fury on the Death Company before the battle? You do it before the first battle round. You wait basically as soon as you're both deployed. You roll off to see who's going first, and then you Forlorn Fury. Take double Psychic Scourge for double smite. Yep. The Librarian lets you pick Psychic Secondaries. Yeah, I mean, I guess it does let you pick Psychic Secondaries. I just think Fortress here isn't doing a lot, and neither is Mighty Heroes. I mean, I guess you could Mighty Heroes your Chapter Master, but anyway, I mean, this list has got problems in that it's got 7 CP. I hope we get a Primaris Dante, and I hope they fix his survive. Like, I think he should be toughness 5. I think he should have a 3 damage weapon. I mean, he's the oldest living Space Marine. He should have a bit more power behind him. But it's just my opinion, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I mean, overall, it seems like an okay list. I feel like it could lose a couple of characters. It could either add some more fire support, or it could add another squad of Sanguinary Guard. I think losing 2 of the characters and adding like 240 points of more Sanguinary Guard here would help a lot. But I think possibly the only reason that he's got the 2 detachments is to get in so many characters. I honestly think that's a mistake these days. We don't have enough. I think battalions are going to be the best way forward. Are we all agreeing on a Chapter Master over Dante? I don't think there's a consensus. It looks like, based on the list we've looked at tonight, we've had 1 Dante and 2 Chapter Masters. Some people really like their Chapter Master. I know I love my Chapter Master, and I may end up still running my Chapter Master on a bike. I've been playing him for so long. Did I get sunburned? Yeah, really badly. Alright, Luke's list. Secondary Relentless Assault, round 1, Forlorn of first. Scouts with speeders, 16 inches of second. Secondary Retrieve Natman data. Yep. Well, we're aware of Natman data. Voidsman. They can be ignored in transport, so you can use them in the scout. Okay, and then the third secondary is going to be Bring It Down, Abhor the Witch, or Blade of Sanguinius. Okay. I think I'm going to have to try Blade of Sanguinius at some point. It's not typically something that I do run. Let me just clarify that yesterday I climbed the Cairngorm Mountain. Let me read you what this I see it on Wikipedia. It's the 7th highest mountain in the British Isles. I thought it was... It doesn't say where it is in Scotland, though. But yeah, no, I climbed this yesterday. And, yeah, without sunscreen, because I'm an idiot, basically. Um, okay. We got Voidsman. This time they're a 6-man Voidsman, so I like this much better. Cool. We got Astaroth with Mantra of Strength and Canticle of Hate. Yep. We've got Dante, who's the Warlord, to get us our glorious 1 CP back. We get the Sanguinary Priest with Icon of the Angel and Selfless Healer. Okay, so we got re-rolling charges. We got some healing going on. Blade of Sanguinius feels good now with Astaroth. It feels like he was almost built for it. His 4 damage weapons certainly help, won't it? Bo saying, I saw on my chaplain on a bike, armor, Indomitus, and Rights of War. I think he's crazy good, but I do not see chaplains anymore apart from Astaroth. I wonder why. I think a lot of people like that chaplain on a bike, Bo. I've always preferred the chapter master because I prefer the fact that the chapter master rerolls are 100% reliable as opposed to litanies that need to be casted. But I mean, that's just a playstyle, right? Like, some people love that chaplain on a bike, and he's really good, and he's pretty. They put him up like 5 points, I think, or 10 points, but even at 125 points, I still think he's a very good character for what you get. I mean, if you compare him to Astaroth, the fact that he's got like 2 more wounds and 1 more toughness, and he's 15 points less, it's kind of almost like a no-brainer just how good he is, right? I suppose it depends on what you want to play. You want to play Astaroth, who's essentially a glass cannon, or you want to play your chapter master, who's going to protect, or sorry, your chaplain on a bike, who's going to be able to angel sacrifice, hopefully multiple times, and protect units. I think it's a very conscious choice on how you want to play. Okay, Assault Intercessors ×2 and Infiltrators. Infiltrators with a Helix Gauntlet, so you can ignore the first damaging attack each turn. I've never run that, but I can see the value in it. Death Company with a bunch of Power Swords and Infernal Pistols. I mean, it's okay. I prefer hammers, but a lot of Power Swords and a 3 Infernal Pistols is going to be decent. We got Rights of War and the Wrath of Baal and the Ancient. I think that's good. So this is something that we're probably going to see, right? So you've got your Priest with a double upgrade, Icon and Selfless Healer. You've got your Ancient with a double upgrade, Rights of War and Wrath of Baal. You've taken Dante to give you back that 1 CP. So while you've spent 4, you can still potentially start with 3. Where does it say? Is this a battalion? Yeah, so there's a battalion, so you can start with 3. Okay, so you can spend 4 CP and start with 3. This seems good. I mean, this is why Dante is going to get picked. So maybe as much as some of us love our custom chapter masters, this is why Dante is going to get picked, because you're basically going to be able to spend 4. Double upgrade on the Ancient is really good. Double upgrade on the Priest, I guess, is potentially really good. This list does have 4 characters, which you guys know I don't like, but that's just my opinion. 7 Sanguinary Guard with 5 swords, 2 axes, which is perfect. That's what I've been asking for. 6 Sanguinary Guard with 4 swords, 2 axes, and Infernal Pistol, again, good. And another one exactly the same, good. We got a squad of scouts. We've got that 6-man assault squad, so again, the assault squads are going to be there to do the actions. This time we've got 6, so we're going to be 100% reliable. We've got 2 assault squads here, holy shit, okay. And we got Landspeeder Storm, which I guess the scouts or the Voidsmen can go inside. I wonder if this list has gone too much heavily into... Because you've got 3 troop choices, and then you've got 210 more points of fast attack. And then you've also got the Voidsman at arms. Like, I think you've maybe sacrificed too much killing power in this list, and you're just trying to get a lot of scoring points. I guess there's a fine line to be drawn there. But for me, the fact you've got 4 characters and then you've spent basically like 260 points on units to score on top of 3 troop choices seems like maybe a step too far. I think I might lose like one assault squad. I might lose one of these characters. You could replace them with a second Death Company or a Dempter Dreadnought. I guess the Plasma Inceptors, if that's what people like. Eradicators. What are your thoughts on the Death Company HQ? I made a Death Company captain on a bike for that very reason, and I magnetized all the weapon options so you can have like a sword, a hammer, or the Teeth of Terra. And he's very cheap, and he's even cheaper now with the new changes, right? But what are my thoughts on him? I guess is a good question. I think if you're going to do a Death Company captain, he's either going to be on a bike or a jump pack, right? The biker, I think, is slightly cheaper. Yeah, because you're 110 points for the one with the jump pack, you're 100 points with the biker. The biker gets 1 more toughness, 1 more wound. They both get the same 4 attacks. So that's why I prefer the biker personally. And you then add the Death Company keyword, which gives them a 6-up shrug and gives them 1 extra attack, but he can't fall back from combat. So that's why if you give him the Teeth of Terra, he would have 8 attack space. And then if you're charging, and you're charging in turn 1, you're on 9 attacks. You can also take a Warlord trait. So if you were going to do a Warlord trait on this guy, I guess it would be Imperium Sword or something, so you can reroll your charges and get another +1, so you could have 10 attacks. Teeth of Terra would get another +1 strength from Imperium Sword, so it'd be like strength 7, 10 attacks. And then, yeah, you could Death Vision. The Death Vision that lets you reroll all your hits and get +1 attacks for every 5 enemy units around you. I think the way I look at it is like he's talking about doing it for Blade of Sanguinius. And also the other secondary, Fury of the Lost. I think you could score 23 or 24 victory points if he dies in the first turn and you play KG with 1,850 points for 4 turns. All right, I'm with you. So you would just sacrifice him to try and do Blade and get some Fury of the Lost points and Relentless Assault points, and then you would just play KG with what you've got left. I mean, it's possible. You're relying on the opponent to deploy the character somewhere that you can get to him. You're also going to have to think really smartly around what weapon he's carrying, right? Like, Teeth of Terra would be good into killing Marines. A Thunderhammer or the Hammer of the Baal might be good into killing characters. The Archangel Shard would obviously be... I mean, with Angron coming out, I was actually thinking, like... I don't know if you guys have seen much about Angron, but he looks like an absolute badass, right? So, like, do you think that the Archangel Shard could get some play? I think it could. I think it might be a good thing. We haven't seen it much this edition, but against Chaos Monsters, it has a damage characteristic of 4, and it's -4. So like a Death Company captain carrying that might be pretty darn useful. +2 strength, -4 flat 4 damage. Wounding could be a problem with a shard. Yeah, I mean, I guess wounding could be a problem with it. You might be better with you might just be better with the Hammer of Baal, I guess. Yeah, possibly, because the Hammer of Baal kept the -3 AP, right? Unlike other Thunder Hammers that went down to... Did it? Yeah, it kept the -3. Then you might be better with the Hammer of Baal. I guess the only reason to take the Shard is it's going to be less points, right? Only go for that if they have weaker character. Worst case, you got an old school Smash Captain to throw in later. Yeah, I mean, I ran a Death Company character for a while. I ran it in a 4-character list. So if you're going to add a Death Company captain here, you're going to need to drop somebody. Um, Hammer of Battle is an awesome choice and almost always better than the Shard. Yeah, I guess, Miguel, you make a good point, because Hammer of Battle is going to be good against all armies, where the Shard would just maybe be good against Chaos. Yeah, good point. Well made. Okay. Leave us a like, by the way, guys, if you are enjoying today's stream. It is much appreciated. So 3 Swords of Sangry Guard. Yeah, I mean, if this was my list, I would lose one of these Action Monkey squads, and I would, because you've got 4 of them essentially, the 2 assault squads, the scouts, and the voidsmen. I would lose one, maybe even 2 of them. I'd also lose one of the characters as well. I think 3 characters is the goal. Like, I would aim for 3 characters. Just makes it more difficult for the enemies to pick against you. Something to be said about, like, a lot of these Blood Angels lists that we see now. Everybody's going, like, really heavily on just marine units, right? No one's running uh no one's running like vehicles and stuff. So no prisoners is going to be like, at the moment, Blood Angels lists are going to be pretty vulnerable against no prisoners. I mean, you look at this, that would be 10 points, 20 points, 25, 37, 51, probably like 65, 75, 85, 95, 105. Yeah, so I mean, if the enemies are picking no prisoners against us and can kill a lot of our stuff, they're looking at like 12 victory points pretty easily against all these lists. So that's the one thing that Blood Angels lists are maybe weak at the moment. We're actually kind of bad into no prisoners. Can a chaplain take Mantra of Strength, an Imperium Sword, and a Power Sword to replace the Shard? No, I don't think a chaplain. There was a chaplain that could take a Power Fist. I would have to check. It's like a really old chaplain model that had a Power Fist. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's probably out of sale now, but there was a chaplain that used to be able to take a Power Fist for whatever reason. I don't know why. Um, I don't think you can replace the Power Fist. No. Pity. Would have been interesting, Highland Phoenix. Okay, so yeah, the final thought is, if you want to run the Death Company captain, I think the only reason I think to run a Death Company captain now, like back when I was running it, right, I was able to run him with like Teeth of Terra for 120 points. Whereas now, and get 10 attacks and feel pretty good about it. Whereas now with the 2 points drops on Death Company, I feel like you're better off just running 5 Death Company. Like 5 Death Company with Power Swords, for example. Was this the list that had 5 Death Company with Power Swords? Yeah, if you took off these 3 Infernal Pistols, right, you'd get, let me think, Power Sword, Death Company, you could potentially get 25 Power Sword attacks, which have more AP, and they're the same strength and stuff. So the Death Visions that we get are just not good enough. I feel like it was a cool concept, giving the Death Company like Death Visions and letting them use them and stuff like that. But the wording on when you can use the Death Visions isn't great, and the Death Visions probably just aren't strong enough. So my thought right now is, if you want to run a Death Company captain, you can, but I don't think it's a brilliant choice. Oh, how you doing? You're just going to have to skip back a few minutes as we talk over your list. And then if you ask some questions, I'm going to move on to the next list, but if you have some questions or some comments, leave them in the chat and I'll try and catch up on them. Okay, we're going to move on to Guys, I can't pronounce people's names. I can't even pronounce like people's names that are like Scottish. So I have no idea how to say this. Kale? Kale? I hope I'm saying it remotely right. Okay. He's brand new to Blood Angels, so welcome. Assault Centurion. Everybody's gone Assault Centurions. It's funny because no one was running them. When I ran them, fucking nobody ran them. Now everybody's running them. They're supported by Sang Priest and protected by company veterans to take up and hold the middle. I mean, that's been Assault Centurions because they don't have core. Can't get Oath of Moment points for the middle anymore, which sucks. Blade Guard supported by Librarian Dread move up one flank. Captain position another flank for Inceptors to drop for turn 2 rerolls with +1 to hit strat. Death Company Forlorn to remove a big threat. And Cursors to hold, deny middle, do some actions. Eliminators harass advancing enemy units. Assault Intercessors and Company Champion in SR for turn 3 deployed. Oh, Strategic Reserves to clean enemy backfield units. Okay. People need to write their names phonetically. Yeah, I guess they do. But it's just because I'm an idiot. Alright, so we're looking at a battalion. Is it battalion? Yes. Starting on 2 CP, so is kind of as low as we would go. And he's got an Angel Descendant. Alright, so we get 2 company veterans, Storm Shields, Power Swords. We got Captain on a bike. Someone's kept the Captain on the bike. Cool. Gift of Foresight, Hammer of Baal, Imperium Sword. Alright, so someone's gone proper Smash Captain on the Captain on a bike. He's also Chapter Master. I like it. Wasn't sure we'd see anyone still go for the Captain on a bike, but yeah. Librarian Dreadnought, Quickening, Unleash Rage, Wings of Sanguinius. Chief Librarian and the Meltagun. If you are upgrading him to Chief Librarian, you really should try and pay the points to make him the Psychic Master. I feel like the reason to upgrade him to Chief really is to get Psychic Mastery. I mean, but I guess all 3 of these powers are useful. I think Quickening is the weakest of these powers. I think if Unleash Rage and Wings would be enough for this guy. If you aren't going to go Chief, but I guess you go Chief. The +1 that you get from Chief adds a lot of reliability. Steven says he thinks it's really cool seeing more than 3 lists each week. I think we can score them ourselves. Yeah, I actually think it's been cool looking at more lists each week. Excuse me. Oh, my daughter might be up again. Yeah, I'll be back in a sec. Hey, we got your name right. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Sangre Priest with Chief Apothecary, Selfless Healer. Okay, so this isn't. I think there's an error here, dude. This should be minus. you need one additional relic here, right? Hammer of Baal is a relic, so there should be like a -1 for Hammer of Baal. So you spent 1 there, you've spent 1 here, 1 here. Am I wrong? Or have you included it? Because this character is using 3 CP. Yeah, where's your Angel's Ascendant thing? I think there's an error. Angel Ascendant is when you change a sergeant to have something like Quake Bolts, right? Oh yeah, you've got it here. Okay, so yes, your CPs are off, for sure, because you've got a relic here on this guy. He's also got Gift of Foresight and Imperium Sword, so that's 2. So this guy is going to cost you 3. The Priest is going to cost you 1. That's 4. The Salt Intercessor is going to cost you 1 for the Quake Bolts, that's 5. And then down here, I noticed you've got Chapter Champion, so 6. So you're actually starting this list on 0 CP. Battle Scribe might not have been updated 100%. Okay, Assault Intercessors, Quake Bolts, and then 2 squads of Incursors. I was going to say you got Eliminators with the Instigator Bolt Carbine. I feel like your Quake Bolts would be more valuable down there. Eliminators are going to be harder for the enemy to kill. They've also, that's an assault weapon as well, so it's pretty flexible, and the Eliminator can move 6 inches. You can advance and shoot it. Remember, it's a 2-up ballistic skull on the Eliminator, so your Quake Bolts are going to be more reliable. And then you can double move as well, and move another 6 afterwards, so your Eliminators can jump around quite a lot. I feel like they're going to... Assault Intercessors typically will end up getting bogged down in combat or something like that, and or killed. So I think the Quake Bolts would have more value on the Eliminators. You got 5 Blade Guard, okay. You've got 5 Centurions with Hurricane Bolters and Flamers. I personally don't like this squad. I've been... I mean, I think I was probably the first Blood Angels player to really embrace Centurions, right? Because I ran them like as soon as we could get them, right after 9th edition. And I ran them with Flamers without the Hurricane Bolters. I kept them as cheap as possible, and I also ran them with the Priest as well, so we could revive them, because there's a lot of value in that. I just don't know if I like... I think it's just the points cost that scares me. Like, there's so many points. And... like a 3-man squad of Centurions tends to kill anything that they charge, like a Dreadnought or a... I mean, I guess there's a few things they might not kill, like a 10-man squad of Blight Lords or something. But it's a very slow unit. I guess it gets a decent number of bolter shots. It's a hard unit for the enemy to charge because you get a lot of flamer shots. But for me, personally, I know how slow 5-inch move feels. I think, like, for the unit like that, you have to put them in the center of the board, because if you ever take them down a flank or something like that, they'll get stuck in that board quadrant. So the thing that maybe if they hadn't changed Oath of Moment and the Centurions were still going to score that, I would like it. But yeah, I mean, the way I see them is they're a bit like Blightlord Terminators, and every time I play against Death Guard who have brought like a shitload of Blightlord Terminators, I'm not scared of Blightlord Terminators. They're just too fucking slow, and I think the same thing goes for Centurions, right? Their bolters are 0 AP, their flamers are 0 AP. If I was playing against somebody that had Centurions, I would just avoid them. And yeah, maybe eventually near the end of the game, the Centurions make like one charge and kill a model or kill something, but like the game's over at that point and I've won the game on points. Maybe you can make them work, I guess. Um, if you are going to go middle and you are going to try and keep them alive with a priest, I mean, I don't think it's a bad tactic. I just think that like if the player you're up against is really smart, they should just try and avoid that and just try and score all the other points on the map and let you have the middle. That's how I would play it. I mean, if any of the games that I've played recently against Death Guard, the one in the tournament and also the game against Colin where he ran 10 Blight Lords. I mean, the end of the game, they have like I didn't kill any Blight Lords in either of those games, or maybe I killed one or something, right? But like, I just avoided them and completely dominated the rest of the map, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of Centurions. I mean, I magnetized my Centurions so I could put Hurricane Bolters on them. I can't get excited about them. I don't know why. I mean, I ran a 5-man squad of Terminators and they only move 5 inches, and I just think they're horrifically slow. And I guess Blood Angels have a lot of very, very fast mobile units, and we often talk about how our fast mobile units are like our they're like our they're like our key strength, right? So having something durable that can sit in the middle of the board, sure. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Can you take us metal guns on Centurions? You can, but I don't know why you would need to Orc Wag, because the Centurions, if they ever make a charge, they're killing whatever they charge, right? Because they're strength 10 and they're -4. So if we get to Assault Doctor and it's strength 10 -5 and they're 3 damage a shot. So I feel like I think the Flamers are the better choice because it means that they can't be charged by like the thing that used to wreck Centurions or used to wreck Blood Angels and potentially will wreck us again are like Repentia. So if you position your 5-man squad of Centurions, the enemy can never charge you with their Repentia, then I guess great, your Centurions have done something amazing. That's really strong. So I can see Centurions, like, people are saying that Sisters are going to be really popular. Well, a lot of the Sister units are toughness 3, right? So they're not going to be able... This many 5 Centurions, if they're all alive. What's the Hurricane Bolter? It's Rapid Fire 6, right? Yeah, Rapid Fire 6. So if you get 6 of them, sorry, you got 5 of them, you get 36 bolter shots. Sure, you only hit on 6s, but with 36 dice, you're going to get some 6s. And then the flamers are d6, and you get 2 flamers per model. So you get an average of 7 per model. So that's 7, 5. So you get 35 flamer hits, plus probably like 10 bolter hits. So yeah, can Sisters turn off Overwatch? I don't know if they've got a strat that turns off Overwatch. I mean, they can charge you through a wall, yes. But, I mean, I guess the point with the Centurions is you would place them. You'd have to be really smart with your placement of them. And if you are smart with your placement of them, then you're in good... You know, if you can see them and you can flamer them, then they've got a serious problem because they... And I guess that's kind of how Stephen probably used the Centurion squad to get really far in that tournament. So I think it's okay, but I'm not in love with it. We got the chapter champion with the martial exemplar, which is letting us reroll charges around the champion, which is fine. You might be better, honestly, just taking Icon of the Angel, because I think martial exemplar is like core in characters. Icon of the Angel is reroll for all Blood Angels models. You got the Death Company with 5 hammers. You got the Plasma Inceptors, and then you got the Eliminators with the last fusel and the move, shoot, move. The one thing I mean, we could argue all day right now about our strongest unit, but I think the strongest unit in the Blood Angels Codex after this last edition, or this last balance update, is Sangre Guard and you don't have any of them, and I mean, I've been saying to people like I wouldn't even like you need 2 squads of Sangre Guard, right? And personally, I'm going to be running 3 in my next list. I'm going to run, I think, 19 Sangre Guard, a 6, a 6, and a 7. Or I might go 18 and go with a shitload of Infernal Pistols. But I think Sangre Guard are brilliant. They're so fast, they're mobile, they have great strats around them. And it's madness taking Blade Guard veterans over Sangre Guard. Yeah, I mean, that's a valid. Sangre Guard are 30 points per model here, so yeah, I mean, I'd lose your Blade Guard for Sangre Guard for sure. And if I had to drop a Hurricane Bolter to make that a reality, I would do that for sure. Run 6 Sangre Guard with 1 Infernal Pistol. I think Sangre Guard now are arguably more survivable than Blade Guard veterans as well, right? I believe it was 25 in lower, Stephen, not 20. But yeah, I think Sangre Guard are more, because they have a 2-up save ignoring EP1 and -1 to hit in combat, whereas the Blade Guard just have a 2-up save. They're not ignoring any EP and a 4-up invulnerable save. So I just think the Sangre Guard are more survivable now probably than the Blade Guard. They're more mobile, easier to jump from point to point, easier to hide. I haven't seen anyone run 4 Centurions yet. But I mean, I think there could be a play around 4 Centurions. I also think there could be a play around Centurions without as many Hurricane Bolters. We talked a lot about Inceptors earlier in the stream, how I think they're... I mean, they're not bad. It just feels like, to me, Inceptors are inferior to Sangre Guard. Blade Guard are inferior to Sangre Guard. Centurions, they're a different role, but again, I think they're inferior to Sangre Guard. It'd be actually interesting to see how like a squad of Sangre Guard, how many Centurions they can kill, because it's not like Centurions have -1 damage or anything. They're only 4 wounds. Every two failed saves is a dead model. I wonder. Yeah, I'm curious I'm curious to know how, like, a squad of 6 Sangre Guard, how many Centurions could they actually kill in a single round of combat? I'm gonna do it. I'm curious. So 6 Sangre Guard times 5 attacks. That's 9. Sorry, 6 times 5. Hitting on 3s. We'll say we're using swords, so we're wounding on 3s. Swords would be -3, -4 for Assault Doctrine, -1 for Armor of Contempt. So Centurions would save on 5s. So 6 Sangre Guard would kill... Divide that by 2, because you need... 6 Sangre Guard would kill 4.3 Centurions. And that's without any rerolls. So the Sangre Guard had, like, if they were near a captain or they had Chapter Master rerolls, they'd pretty much wipe the squad. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess when you look at it that way, that's why I don't rate the Centurions. The Centurions aren't going to be able to charge my Sangre Guard because I'm going to keep them 12 inches away from them. At some point, I'm going to give that... Once we hit turn 3, I'll give a Sangre Guard Chapter Master rerolls. I'll charge the Centurions from an obscuring position, or I'll use my Whirlwind to make it so the Centurions can't overwatch, and then you've lost your whole Centurion squad. That's a lot of points to lose. I mean, I guess maybe if you've got a priest in there, you can feel no pain, some of them, so maybe 1 Centurion survives or something. Who's using Centurions versus Blood Angels? Well, I mean, if you come up to a tournament, you could have a mirror match, right? I'm not sure I'm in love with the Centurion idea. I mean, I've seen it by a few people, and I bought and painted Centurions, so I could run Centurion. I just I, I don't know. Centurions are a scary unit. Are they more scary just having three of them in strategic reserve though than having five of them waddle into the middle of the board and it takes them a couple of turns to get there and um, but with Death Company and Sanguinary Guard both getting cheaper and both getting better, my thought is like I'm not a huge fan of Centurions. Okay, I'm also not a huge fan of the Plasma Scepters. I talked about that earlier in the stream. If you're new, I think you said you were new to Blood Angels, right? You need to get a few boxes of Sanguinary Guard, get them built up, and then try running them because they're just so good a unit for us. Run them in a 7-man squad with like 5 swords and 2 axes. So you're gonna need to buy a couple of boxes of Sanguinary Guard if you don't have any. I'm probably on about my 7th box of Sanguinary Guard at this point, but yeah, I think where we are in the current this edition, it's gone from at the very start of the edition, it was right like run 20, 25 Sanguinary Guard, then it went to run like 10 of them, then it went back to run like 15 of them, and now we're back at like, hey, run as many of them as you fucking can, because they're our best unit. They're basically Terminators with a 12-inch move. And I think there's not a huge difference between 2 and 3 wound models because most of the time you can hide the Sanguinary Guard with concealed positions or obscuring terrain, right? Yeah, Wire and Cursor is good. Highland Phoenix has answered it. Yeah, because they can deploy anywhere on the map, basically because of concealed positions. That means you can make turn 1 charges with them. If you can turn 1 charge onto enemy objectives, you can obsec them away from them straight away. They also can be removed from the battlefield and set up elsewhere for 1 CP. They also get smoke screen. So if you're playing against Tau or something, I've basically had a Tau player had to shoot his entire army at a squad of Inceptors in cover to kill them. And if the Tau player has to shoot his entire army at 100-point model or 100-point unit, and that's all he can kill in an entire shooting phase, then you're kind of in a huge positive net gain out of that. You're most welcome, Kale. I'm going to say your name wrong again. I've forgotten what I said here. Kale. You're welcome. But yeah, get some Sanguinary Guard, join them to battle, and also if you are using Battle Scribe, make sure you pull an update because it looks like you did have your CP slightly wrong here. I think, and I was going to say I'm unsure about this 3 CP captain now because I used to run my captain with three traits on him, and I did like it, but I'm just not sure we can still afford to do it. I'll have to get back to you on that once I've actually. Maybe I need to run him one time and see if we can still afford to do it. Okay, final list of today, and it's a 1,000-point list. So it's 1,000 points. Yes, 1,000-point list. We haven't done a 1,000-point list for a little while. That's why I wanted to include it. So 1995 points. I'm sure we can figure out where to spend the last 5 points. And he's got patrol detachment. He's got the chaplain on the bike, who's the master of sanctity, icon of the angel, and rites of war. So icon of angel, rites of war, and wise orator. Okay, holy yeah. So he spent 3 CP on this character. So what? He's starting on 0 CP. He's basically spent them all on his HQ, which is to me feels a bit crazy. Assault intercessors, incursors, because this is a patrol detachment, I'd probably lose one of these squads. I think you should run the minimum number of troops that you need, and patrol detachments don't need 3 troop choices. I mean, technically you only need 1, but I think I'd run my 2 squads of cursors. I'm fine with that. I don't think you need the squad of assault intercessors in here. The Sanguinary Guard he's got is an 8, and it's all swords. I'd make this smaller because these are his elites. I'd make it a 6. That would be like 180. I'd use the extra 60 here, plus the 100 here, and basically get a second squad of Sanguinary Guard in there for like 5. Yeah, and then he's got Inceptors and Scepters, which I guess we don't really see Bolt and Plasma Inceptors, but I'm much more okay with these in a 1,000-point game than I am in a 2,000-point game. I think they continue to play around the Blood Angel strength because they're nice and fast. And I think you could spend those extra couple of points that you would have left over if you went like a 6 and a 5 on the Sanguinary Guard on an Infernal Pistol for a squad or 2. I have 1 Power Fist, 2 Axes, 4 Swords. I have a Power Fist for Ramshackle Orcs. I mean, yeah, having a couple of Power Fists against certain armies isn't bad. Helen Phoenix says, I think Hammer of Baal is worth the CP in the new season. Should get more play, really. What's making it worth the CP for you this season, Highland Phoenix? Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier. I mean, I guess most people who are running Plasma Inceptors aren't going to be shooting them on high power. You've got no way to reroll your 1s here anyway in this list, so probably wouldn't worry about it. I don't think I would go quite as heavy on this character. I think I'd probably lose Icon of the Angel. I mean, you've got Canticle of Hate, you've got Rites of War, you've got Wiserator. I don't know if I would need. I'd like to start with at least RCP, so I got some options. And I mean, a couple of Incursors, a couple of Sanguinary Guard, a couple of Inceptors, and a strong survival character. Seems like a good 1,000-point list, honestly. The only other thing that I think that might be really good in a 1,000-point list here would be like those Eliminators with the Las Fusils, because the move, shoot, move around. They'd be good for holding that backfield objective, but they are 75 points, so I don't know how we would fit them in. And I think a 6 and a 5 Sanguinary Guard would work pretty well in 1,000 points. Like in 2,000 points, 6s and 7s seem fine, but when you've got the smaller board size points wise, I think that would make sense. It would make it CP back each combat. Why would it make it CP back each combat? Just because you don't miss or something? I like Hammer of Baal if you're going for Fury of the Lost. Yeah, Hammer of Baal would be good for Fury of the Lost. I don't know multi-melt on a platform for 60 or 70. And I mean, I think attack bikes are an okay choice in 1,000 points as well. Yeah. I mean, 2 attack bikes for 120. I mean, land speeders are generally mobile multi meltas are generally quite good in. I mean, in general, mobile multi meltas are pretty good, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to come up with a list for Wednesday night, guys. So I'll post that list. I think I'm playing World Eaters on Wednesday night. And I think based on what you guys said here, I think I need to start on like minimum 2 CP, preferably 3 CP. So I guess I'll make something to try and do that. But yeah, for a 1,000 point list, this isn't bad. But I guess I'd lose a troop squad, get second Sanguinary Guard. I mean, I'm fine with what he's got for Inceptor wise. I like Inceptors. I do like them. Um, I just sort of hate that the plasmas kill their own guys. If the plasmas just did a mortal wound to their own guys, I might run Inceptors. I like how fast they are. I like that they're toughness 5. And they're also very decent AP. Very good into enemy marines, actually. If you could fire them on full power into enemy marines, then you're killing a lot of marines, right? Cool. Alright, so that was every list that I had submitted this week. I know that there was a couple of other lists sent in on Discord that or on the YouTube channel page that they only got sent in like today or yesterday, so you guys will be covered next week. I'm going to continue to run a lot of lists through the show actually for the next little while as well. I think looking at more lists is better. I'm really tempted for my list to go back to running something like Double Redemptor. I kind of want to still run like a Leviathan or a Relic Contemptor, but it really comes down to CP costs. Those Martial Legacy CP costs are going to be a bitch. We could make a PDF. We certainly could, Stephen. The other thing I was thinking was just to see what other Forge World stuff. What secondaries am I focusing on now? I mean, Behind Enemy Lines and Relentless Assault was definitely 2 secondaries that I often focused on anyway. I feel like Nakman Data is one that I always used to focus on as well, because I always felt like I could score Nakman Data pretty easily. I haven't built my list yet. I mean, I really should have. I've just had a really busy week because I've been off work and I've done all sorts of mad admin stuff that I've had to do around the house for a while. But I did also film a Battle Ready Sanguinary Guard video. I haven't edited it at all yet, but I did get that filmed, so that's cool. I will build my list probably with 3 secondaries in mind, Brian, though, because I do think it's important when you're building a list to be focused around, like, you basically want secondaries, or you want your list to be able to score even if you're in a shit game, right? And that's what I had at that last. Like, I knew every game I was taking basically Behind Enemy Lines or Relentless Assault, depending on how fast the opponent's army was. I was also taking Retrieve Nakman Data in every game, and then the third one was really map dependent, enemy dependent, you know. I'm not feeling data as much. I'm not feeling data as much because because you can't reserve stuff as easily now due to the lack of CP. So banners got better though, which is interesting. And I don't think I'm going to do Death from Above. I don't like it. I think it's kind of like cutesy, for a lack of better word. Like, I know that it's easier to make charges into models that are obscured now, which is good. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan from Death from Above. I'm gonna hopefully put out some content around the secondaries in this next week. That's probably what's going to be my tactics video idea for this week. And yeah, we'll be live on Wednesday night to talk about. Well, not to talk. We'll be live on Wednesday night for my first game of Nephilim. Because I'm not I don't have COVID anymore. I just have sunburn. So I mean, I guess that's a plus. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm going to take off. I got a few things to do before tomorrow, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I guess I will hopefully catch some of you guys on Wednesday. If not, we'll see you on the thing on Friday. Cool. And if you have any lists to submit, you know how to do that. You can head over to the YouTube channel, and you can put the link to your list from Battlescribe or whatever program you're using to make your list. Just put it in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys then. What do they call you stuff you put on sunburn after that? We call it after sun. I'm gonna go put some on after this actually, because my skin's getting pretty sore again. Cool. All right. By the blood, army strong brothers. Thanks for watching. Good night. Peace.